Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to Story Hour. I'm tonight's host, Laura Blackwell. My co-host, the marvelous Daniel Marcus, started Story Hour like 2.5 years ago because he wanted to hang out with his writer buddies who he couldn't hang out with in person. And since then, we've been meeting every Wednesday to have all kinds of wonderful writers come and read us their stories. And it's going so well that we're pleased to let you know that we received an SFWA giver grant so that we can keep the lights on without having to pick Daniel's pocket. So those of you who have been here before know the format. For those of you who haven't, we have two wonderful writers reading wonderful stories. And today we have two writers who've been here before. We have Premee Mohamed and Eugenia Triantafyllou. If you can, consider donating to tonight's featured nonprofits, which were selected by the reader writers. Those are Edmonton's Food Bank and Allos Anthropos. Premee Mohamed is reading for Edmonton's Food Bank. Edmonton's Food Bank seeks to be stewards in the collection of surplus and donated food for the effective distribution, free of charge, to people in need in the community, while seeking solutions for the causes of hunger as well. In addition to snack, hamper, and other food distribution programs, its Beyond Food program offers free employment assistance, English and math upgrading, budget advice, personal counseling, and information on affordable housing. The food bank has been asking for help lately due to empty shelves. And empty shelves at a food bank mean empty stomachs in the community. So please go and learn more about this organization at edmontonsfoodbank.com. Eugenia Triantafyllou is reading for Allos Anthropos, which translates as the other man. The website is in Greek. I used the translator that's built into Chrome to understand it. Seemed to work pretty well. Allos Anthropos is a social kitchen at which those who can buy food cook and eat together with those who cannot. It started because its organizers saw people of all social strata and all ages picking through garbage to get the food that they could no longer buy. And they started out by cooking food and giving it to people, and then realized that it was more meaningful for everyone if they cooked it and ate it together. And so that is their emphasis now. The translation, as I got it, reads, "It is a movement of solidarity and a sign of love toward our fellow human beings, with the hope of awakening consciousness and other similar actions by other people and groups." And you can learn more at allosanthropos.blogspot.com. I will drop that link in both Zoom and Facebook so that those of you who can't figure out how things are spelled in Greek from the way I try to pronounce them. So if you are here on Zoom, feel free to leave your camera on. It can be really nice for our readers to see you reacting to their stories. And we have text chat on the side, so chime in there as well. If you're joining us on Facebook, we are delighted to have you. Hi. But we may not be monitoring the chat very closely. So please don't be offended. We're not ignoring you, we swear. And our first reader tonight is Eugenia Triantafyllou. Eugenia Triantafyllou is a Greek author and artist with a flair for dark things. Her work has been nominated for the Ignite, Nebula, and World Fantasy Awards, and she is a graduate of Clarion West Writers Workshop. You can find her stories in Uncanny, Tor.com, Strange Horizons, and other venues. She currently lives in Athens with a boy and a dog. You can find her on Twitter or Mastodon at Foxes and Roses, or her website, eugeniatriantafyllou.wordpress.com. Eugenia, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me tonight. This was a great translation, by the way, and I'm sorry I didn't provide one. I should have thought about it. Anyway, today I am reading tonight because I don't know, maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow. Who knows? It's 5 o'clock in the morning here in Athens. So if I don't make much sense, forgive me.
We are very grateful to have you any hour we can get you, Eugenia.
Thank you. So I'm reading from Bonesoup. It's a short story published in Strange Horizons last year. Content warnings for disregard for personal autonomy, body transformation, and death. So here we go. Bones. In Greece, we have a saying, you must eat the body part you want to grow stronger. Or maybe that's just something my grandmother used to say. After partying with friends until the early hours, Katerina and I take a detour before we go home. The meat market in downtown Athens houses 3 restaurants, and they all open at 5 in the morning. For the workers who unload pounds of meat all night long. There, we sit at a small square table, a sheet of wax paper serving us tablecloth, and I eat tripe soup to cure my endless hangover, but especially my upset stomach. It's not like the ones my grandmother makes. It lacks substance, but it's good enough. Katerina takes a look at my plate and scrunches her face. Disgusting, she said. But soon enough, she gives me one of her smirks to show that she means well. Always soft, even when she wants to be mean. I smiled and let the warm gelatinous broth slide down my throat. A stomach for a stomach. My Nana was famous for her cooking skills, and children would visit her, even when I was not there. Sometimes I would turn around the corner coming from school, and there they would be, flocking outside her front door. She would hand out biscuits or little chocolate truffles, but only if they promised to not tell their parents. Some did tell, children being children and all, but the parents did not mind, just as long as it wasn't too often and didn't spoil their appetite. When I brought friends with me, she would serve them rice pudding or honey rolls, topping both with lots of cinnamon. Her door was always open for them, and she would always have something to give. They would leave her house looking almost transparent and light, like made of spun sugar, like there was no meat in them. She never allowed me to have any, though. I could only eat sweets at home whenever my mother relented after days of pressure, but I never managed to eat any of my grandmother's desserts. These are not for you, Tina, she would say, prying the tray of profiteroles out of my small fingers. You are a girl for the meat. Sweets will do you no good. Once I went to her house, it was only 5 minutes away from ours, and found Katerina already there. She was coming out of Grandma's kitchen, a little lost and pale, but with a smile sticky with honey. I placed my books on the dining room table and followed Grandma around the house. I pestered her for an hour for some of the desserts she gave to Katerina. She eventually stopped avoiding me and turned around. I have something for you too, she said, as if I had finally convinced her, and disappeared into the kitchen. But as I sat at the table, quietly celebrating my victory, she came back, hands cupped around the steaming bowl of bones. A bone was floating in there, long and narrow. I couldn't tell exactly what kind. I made some just this morning. She offered it to me as if it was my favorite dish. My face dropped. Katerina smirked under her cinnamon-crusted lips and her sugar-coated cheeks, beautiful as always. She smelled sickly sweet. For a moment, perhaps it was my sweeted brain, she looked mostly made of custard. Her eyes were 2 pastel blue candied almonds. Her chin was a shortbread biscuit, but parts of her were still meat. Her hair was black and sleek down her shoulders like always. I looked away and the image was gone. Children need strong bones to grow, my grandmother continued. She sat next to me at the table and spoon-fed me the soup until the bowl was clean. A bone for a bone. And as if to confirm her words, Katerina broke her arm later that day. She stayed out of school for a month. I visited her every day to keep her updated on schoolwork. Apparently, I was the only child on Bones, even though I hardly ever got sick. If my grandmother bumped into me on the street and I had eaten something sweet before, it was like she could smell it on me. Her whole face would change, like someone had done her personal harm. She would grab me by the hand and drag me home to my parents. There was nothing my father, her son, could do to appease her, but promised they would never give me sweets again. And when a child got sick or got hurt like Katerina, and children did get sick all the time, she would act as if she had been right all along. When I asked her why she would give out sweets to the children instead of meat, like she did with me, she would look at me dead serious and say, how else would they come to my kitchen? I am up late at night, but it's time to study for finals. I'm trying hard to concentrate, but my phone keeps flashing messages from Katerina. Still nothing. There's a guy in her film school, 1 year her senior, giving her the runaround. Have you tried ignoring him? Katerina sends me a sad face. I know she wants me to enable her. Tell her she should call him in the middle of the night and check for any suspicious noises in the background. I don't reply. I'm starving. I go to the kitchen and open the fridge. They say sugar is a good fuel for the brain, but sweets are not sitting well with me. Grandma would probably be very happy if she knew. There's some leftover kebab in the bag, but what I'd really go for right now is lamb brain. When I was taking the entrance exam for the School of Architecture, Grandma cooked furiously every day. She even asked me to move with her to her place temporarily so she could feed me around the clock. I said no because I'm not a baby, although I was living with my parents until I left for college. But she brought the food to us anyway. The dish she cooked the most was fried lamb brains. A brain for a brain. When I got into college, she would brag to everyone who would listen that it was her cooking that got me through. My success was hers as well. We are family, a continuation. I stare at my phone for a moment. There are 2 new messages from Katerina, but I don't read them. Instead, I call Grandma. Do you have any lamb brains? I ask, and I can feel her smiling through the phone. I'm coming over. It is a month after the exams when I get a call from Dad. Nana had a heart attack, and she's not doing well. She's at the hospital now, but she's old, and she might not make it. I must go now if I want to have a last conversation with her while she's still conscious. I text Katerina, still in disbelief. The woman boasted she had reached 88 years of age without getting sick for a single day. When I was younger, I thought she was an immortal witch, and I guess I still haven't shaken that belief. My dad is her youngest and her dearest, a boy for the meat. Most of her other children are estranged or have died from one sickness or the other. He doesn't like to admit he is a mama's boy, but I know. Your grandma was a child during the war, he tells me, sipping scalding coffee from a paper cup. No sugar. His eyes are glassy from staying by his side all night. Do you know how many kids people have back then? I've heard that story too many times. Grandma had 11 siblings, or 12 kids were born in the family. How many of those have made it to adulthood is another thing entirely. My nana was lucky because she was tough and worked hard. When the famine came, she was already an asset to the family. Back then. She was a girl, which was a problem for the parents, but she wouldn't give up. Fruits and vegetables were rare. Meat was nearly impossible to find, and perhaps that is the reason why Nana is so obsessed with it. When they rationed the food, she would get a decent portion to keep her strong for the fields. She kept working twice as hard as any of her brothers to earn her meals. In the end, she outlived them all, even the famine. In a way, she was her parents' favorite child, just like my father is her favorite child. And sometimes that makes the difference between life and death, between meat and sugar. Goes up, Dad waves me inside the room. It's been less than a week since I saw her last, but I almost don't recognize her. Her face is gone, her plump cheeks are sunken, as if along with her energy, someone stole all the meat from her body overnight. She smiles faintly, like she knows what I'm thinking of. Hospital food is shit, she tells me. Not enough meat. Father looks around for a wandering nurse, embarrassed. I take a chair and push it close to where her head rests. Soon we'll get cooking again, I tell her. I tell you sound confident, much like her when I was a kid, but she shakes her head just so. I'll do no such thing. She suddenly grabs my hand and pulls me closer. Her strength for a woman her age is impossible. I need to eat something, or I'll never leave this place, she whispers in my ear, her eyes pleading. Cook something that will make me strong again. If I weren't so numb, I would laugh. I don't know how to cook anything, but I know she keeps a book with recipes at her house, in her kitchen. But it isn't just cooking she's asking for. She hungers for her own kind of food, one that fills you in, but leaves others hollow. Before I have time to answer, Katerina rushes inside, phone in hand. Why didn't you answer? She asks me. I've been searching the entire room, for the entire hospital for the past 20 minutes. Then she stops and bites her lips. Sorry. She grabs the last chair in the room and huddles next to me, her eyes already full of tears. Grandma smiles at her, but doesn't talk anymore. Her eyes pass over me every now and then, and I pretend not to see. We sit in silence for hours. Do you think she's going to want this? Katerina holds Grandma's cookbook as she comes out of the living room. I glance up from the duffel bag I'm filling with Grandma's essentials. I think she's going to be really mad if she finds out we moved it. Dad stops her in her tracks. She caresses the cover like an old friend. I bet the children will miss her. She cooked so many sweets in here for me, for all, not for me, I don't say. Instead, I change the subject. Still sad over that guy? She shrugs. Not really. I know she's lying to me and herself, but lying is the first step to getting over it. For now, it's good enough. I mean, people are literally dying. That's more important than some guy, right? When she realizes what she has said, she turns pale. Oh, Dean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. She runs to me and gives me a hug from behind. I'm still bent over the duffel bag, but I let her hug me. I know it will make her feel better. Too bad there's nothing that will help me feel better. It's okay, I say. I leave the duffel bag half packed and plop down the sofa. You know, we don't have to go back right away. Grandma is probably sleeping. Let's take a break. I turn on the TV, and Katerina sits next to me, just like we did when we were kids, watching cartoons on weekend afternoons. Katerina would have her fill of ekmek or apple pie, and I would have whatever Nana was cooking for me. Katerina would be sick for a few days afterwards, but she would get well again. Children get sick all the time. Nobody thinks anything of it. What if an old lady shows them how to spin sugar in a small kitchen? What if that sugar replaces a broken arm or an infected ear? If the stolen body part is good enough, who's going to notice? Some people are for the meat. They need it, and they should get it. The cookbook is still on Katerina's lap. She has her black slick hair up in a ponytail. It makes her neck look longer and elegant. She's always a little one nowadays, but it adds to her charm. Even sad and tired, she looks gorgeous. I don't know what that guy was thinking. Sitting so close to her in stillness, I can't help but notice her perfume. It smells faintly of vanilla, like the one Grandma used in her custard. Her ears look like perfectly piped Viennese whales. There's cinnamon at the corners of her mouth. She's mostly sugar and dough now, but there are some good bits that are still made. Grandma can't hold on too long with hospital food. Come. I take the book gently from Katerina's lap and go into the kitchen. She looks up at me, confused. I wonder how well I can follow Nana's notes. A heart for a heart. I will make you chocolate cake. I smiled. It's good for the heartbreak. The end.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that ending, I swear. I can see it coming, but oh. Thank you so much. What a wonderful first story for our new year. Between the two authors, we always like to take a breath because each story just has to be absorbed and we clear for the next one. Thank you. Our next reader tonight is Premee Mohamed. Interesting that they're both reading for food charities tonight, right? Premee Mohamed is a Nebula, World Fantasy, and Aurora Award-winning Indo-Caribbean scientist and speculative fiction author based in Edmonton, Alberta. She is an assistant editor at the short fiction audio venue Escape Pod and the author of the Beneath the Rising series of novels, as well as several novellas. Her short fiction has appeared in many venues, and she can be found on Twitter at Premeesaurus and on her website at premeemohamed.com. And Premee, I believe that you have a collection coming up in a few months, don't you? A short.
I do. That is coming out in May from Undertow Publications. I only have the advanced reader copy, sorry, but it does contain the story from which I'm reading tonight.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. I will be quiet and listen now.
Lovely. So this story is called The Evaluator. This originally appeared in the anthology A Breath from the Sky by Martian Migraine Press. And I hope it's not more than 20, 25 minutes. There's a dish of milk balanced on the trailer's top step, something dark surfacing in the white like a shark. As I knock and wait, I try to figure it out. A hostess cupcake? A ding-dong? You leave your best, after all. Inside, Mrs. Brunsma makes coffee with the lightly champagne-colored water from the tap. Mine cools in a chipped and faded Snoopy mug while I explain while I'm here pushing a business card across the sticky tablecloth. Are you with the government? She finally asks. No, ma'am. We're a private company. Do you have equipment? Are you going to do tests on her? No, she'll be fine. You can stay and watch if you want. She's not listening, and nothing I'm saying, I figure, is the deciding factor that gets her up from the table. I follow her outside, careful not to touch the teetering offering. We walk past a dozen trailers, some clearly abandoned, others more ambiguously so, and head through the fence, marking the border of Meadow Hill. The clearing we enter is untrimmed, one side backed with tall black trees. Something white and gray straightens suddenly from the grass, and for a moment I'm not an evaluator, not even a human, only a hunted vertebrate poised to spin and flee, my throat making a small involuntary whine. The moment passes, and it's just a kid, 10 or 11 or however old kids are right before you think, they'll put on weight soon and shoot up. Dressed in a gray sweatshirt so long it's become a dress, dirty striped leggings, black boots. She resembles her mother. Lank brown hair, a paleness endemic to the region that goes past white and into the territory of translucence, cavefish, milk glass. I'm struck by two things. The smudge of blood on her chin, not hers, and the crown she wears. 3 skulls wired together, a rabbit, a deer, and a coyote, or dog. Sorry. Wait, am I gonna sneeze again? Sorry. Together, they should be too heavy for her skinny neck, but she stands tall, proud, easy. Too easy. Bad sign. Where'd she get the skulls? I murmur. I don't want to know, her mother whispers. Me neither, but this kind of question is part of the job. I approach the kid with my hands out, trying to show that I'm not carrying anything, although I suppose it looks like I'm about to snap my arms shut and grab her. She doesn't seem concerned, only watches me as I approach. Another bad sign. Hi there, Adeline, I say. I realize I sound like I'm talking to a bright but unfamiliar dog and try to modulate my tone. I'm not used to kids. My name's Sheffield. I'm an evaluator. Drove in from Derby to meet you. You got a minute to talk? She nods as I study the crown. Copper wire binds the yellowed bone, each skull indifferently cleaned so that none too fresh scraps of flesh remain. Even as I'm thinking it, a small black and red beetle shoots out of one eye hole and into another. I'm expecting the sour smell of unwashed skin and dry-aged carrion, but there's only ozone and the sticky scent of the forest. Another bad sign. Under her pale skin, something glows and moves, a pulsating gulp of liquid bypassing veins, arteries, the small things of the human body. At night, it must be bright enough to read by. No real point in doing the evaluation now. I've seen enough to fill out the report, but I move closer yet. Stoop to make eye contact. Her eyes are pearly and gray, the cataracted eyes of an old woman, pupils still visible for now. Now, this might feel a little funny, I tell her, but I'm not going to touch you, okay? Okay. Her voice is still ordinary, a child-clear descant not too marred by her jumble of baby and adult teeth. I shut my eyes and step inside. All the outside sounds, her light breath, the wind in the trees, faraway traffic fading like usual. But where they would normally be replaced by the chitter and gabble of excited spirits, there is nothing. A void, waiting. The wards on my wrist and chest suddenly seem not only inadequate, but pitiful, a token insult. Sweat soaks my shirt as I retreat into the reel, embarrassed at my terror. She's smiling. Her hands flash briefly from her 2 long sleeves, and I freeze and cower at the resultant explosions. No, not explosions. Creaks and roars, the wet smell of fall sap, amber splinters flying. The mother screams. I hope she doesn't move. 2 huge birches drop on either side of us, sending birds howling from the dark woods, setting off car alarms so far away I can barely hear the warbling. It's enough. It's enough for the report. I take the cowering mother by the elbow, not quite running, and leave the child to the woods for now. Back at the kitchen table, Mrs. Brunsmith sobs, angry at her own pain, soaking up the tears with her sweatshirt sleeve. I fill out the form while she weeps, including a sketch. Where did the blood come from? Hopefully just an animal. Better yet, a stolen steak. But recommend checking missing persons reports, I write. When did this start? I ask. A couple weeks ago. And you didn't call for help? It wasn't like this, she snaps, pointing at the window, and by proxy, the mile or so between the gesture and the child. She was just, she's always been a little, not like this. Father around? Passed away 2 years ago. Anyone else I can talk to? Friends? Brothers? Sisters? No. There's a blue shadow under her eyes when she says it, deepening by degrees to something resembling football black. At least one other, then. Dead or gone in some other way, a runaway, or still here, but vanished into one of the many liminal states presented as viable options. Meth, oxy, booze, God, gods. I put away the form and pick up my bag. He follows me out, carefully but unconsciously avoiding the offering again. Wait, she croaks, voice ruined with tears. Aren't you going to take her? I thought, no, Mrs. Burnsma, we can't do that. You can't or you won't, she says shrilly. You see her, you see what I have to live with. I can't live like this much longer, neither can she. If you don't, we evaluate. That's all. It isn't, but she doesn't need to know that. We're not county animal control at any rate. We can't just call her and cage her. We don't have a shelter for her. And even if we did, it wouldn't be a no-kill. None of this needs saying. She's upset. I'll call you if I need more information, I'd say truthfully, and get back into the car. This place, Christ. I want to call the boss as I drive. It's almost an hour back to Derby from Meadow Hill. But the roads aren't good here, and neither is the reception. Funny that they mutter darkly about the electronic soup the government is bathing their brains in, won't let anyone put a cell tower in here, and then have the gall to bitch about their bad reception. They bitch about me too, more justifiably, the city mouse that moves to the country and doesn't even have the good grace to leave the country mice to themselves. But we were getting so sick of driving out from the city that the boss decided to open a regional office. And it's not that I love my job so much that I took the move instead of quitting. It's that when you don't have much in your life, a move is not an adventure, not even an inconvenience. It's just what you do to keep the one thing you do have. And so here we are in Derby, the deep, dark woods, a little crossroads of 1,000 people in town, and about the same in shrinking trailer suburbs, elegantly ringed with expanding circles of abandoned buildings like Roman ruins. The industrial companies moved in on the hard, watertight clay for a couple decades, then went under or got bought out and slunk out in the middle of the night, no way to recover the assets they left here. A branded amphitheater, a bright new cinder block school, a rec center, all shut and graffitied and crumbling from disuse. The clear well water the locals still reminisce about turned orange about 20 years ago. One of the companies ponied up for about $5 million to build a treatment plant for the aquifer. It's still running. Not well. You don't drink the tap stuff if you can avoid it. It's one of those unspoken rules that only gets spoken when an outsider moves in. We got the office for next to nothing. Lunch money for a month back home. Here, it houses me and my co-evaluator, Kabore, and our boss, Fern. We go around seeing whether people have been fucked up, pardon my French, by what we'd call country living, or by the industrial chemicals, or by the furious, dark, ancient, unknowable gods that have always lived here. The problem, and Fern opines, the reason for a local office, is that the chemicals seem to be increasing the incidences of that last, but no one knows why. The last company, Tethys Industries, set up bioremediation cells not just under their old footprint, but everyone else's. And they're supposed to be busting up the chemicals, breaking them down, but the levels just never change. There are 100 places you can't put a playground or a garden. There are places you can't even dig in the dirt lest your hands emerge blistered or bright orange or simply degloved. Something they made was phytotoxic, moves in fits and starts so that trees are still dying in those slow spiraling rings like the buildings. And where they aren't dying, they're changing, getting graffiti of their own, tagged with cellulose and chitin tumors of all colors and sizes. And me, I leave my offerings out just like I was told. Milk and sage, oil and bread, pudding, Just once, but it was all I had. It's not a concession to the locals and their superstitions. It's a concession to living out here and the slow dawning that it's a dangerous and lonely place, but that the people who live in dangerous and lonely places often don't mind. In the old days, though, people were afraid of the land for reasons they knew. Now they don't. Everything they used to love is stark and hard on the eyes. I think that's why they tolerate me and Kabore. We are hope, a small dim ray of it in the strange new darkness. Kabore isn't in when I reach the office, but Fern is, angrily poking at a salad and her keyboard in turns. Look at this bullshit, she says, not looking up. Corporate is going to force us to do this information security course by month end. Then we have to send the certificates to prove it. How bad could it be? 18 to 24 hours, she says. She stabs at the salad and a piece of hard-boiled egg flies across her desk almost to my lap. Before I can sweep it into the garbage can, something small and resin green with 100 eyes creeps up the desk leg and snatches it away. At least out here, we don't have to clean the office. Fern sighs and pushes her lunch at me. Here, eat the rest of this. I'm full. How was the park? I hand her the form for my bag, which she ignores. Talk to me, Sheffield, she says. It's bad, I blurt, surprising us both. In the long silence, everything I wanted to tell her in the car bubbles up, an incoherent hurricane of words. I hold it down and try to fish something useful out, coming up only with, oh God, Jen, it's so bad. Jesus. Tell me what to do next before I go back to my place and just pack a goddamn bag. She's staring, eyebrows almost meeting her silvery hairline. I don't blame her. Evaluators are unflappable, not merely stoic. We are the heroes of horror movies. We cannot be rattled. And in 10 years, I haven't. I'm startled to find myself on the verge of shouting or tears. Finally, she looks at the form, then back at me. Glowing, she says. Generating the old light. Yes. In broad goddamn daylight. Yes. Where did she get the skulls? I don't know. All right, she says and scribbles on the form. All right, I'm pulling head office in on this one. Bring her in early tomorrow. We'll do a day trip back to the city, get a full evaluation done by the regional team. I'm not going back there. Send Kabore. Kabore's booked. What's the matter with you? All right, so it's bad. It's new, part of the job. You get used to one thing. Novelty scares you. What are you going to do? Fire me? I ask hopefully. Brad, she says, pushing the form back at me. Pull your shit together. No sleep. Only a half-hearted paralysis, hearing everything. Footsteps, heartbeats, the familiar softness of wind in trees, the keen of satisfied gods, the drag and slurp of their movement, the cries of their despair, clunks and screeches as they scratch bumpers or scare alley cats. Sleep, I order myself, but nothing happens. And then my phone is beeping. 4 a.m, time to get dressed and go back to the trailer park. Back to the long grass and the black woods, back to the thing that lives in a little girl with a name too big for her. Mrs. Brunsma lets me in without comment and makes eggs, toast, more of the toxic coffee. I turn down her breakfast and wait for her to caffeinate enough to gear up for conversation. The kitchen is lit with Dollarama bulbs, strong and harsh, erasing the darkness outside and making mirrors of the windows. The thin woman, long hair down her back. The sturdy man in city clothes, pouchy, scruffy, like an urban raccoon. I give myself an encouraging nod. You know, her Nana died about 2 months ago, she says suddenly. Her dad's mom. I thought maybe this was her way of acting out. No. No, I didn't think so either, she says. I hoped so. But anyway, I'm sorry you came out here for nothing. You should have called. Eddie's not here. I say, because we found her yesterday in moments for whatever reason. The pull of the gods, or a mother's instinct, or perhaps just that she keeps returning to the same place, not quite grass, not quite woods. Yes, she says. She ran away. Must have been right after you left because she didn't come in for dinner. Mm-hmm. We all took investigative techniques, I want to tell her. We learned how to tell if you're lying, and how to tell if you're telling the truth, and how to tell if you're doing both, which often happens if you're doing one or the other by omission or exaggeration or coercion. She's sweating despite the coolness of the morning. That coffee hot enough for you? I ask her politely. Sure you don't want some? Oh, I drink a gallon of it in the car, I tell her. And wait, and let the silence stretch out until her fork jitters on the melamine plate. Mrs. Brunsma, I say softly as a piece of egg plops onto the tablecloth. If I went outside and put my hand on the hood of your truck, how warm would it be? What do you mean? I'm not going to go to the police, I tell her. I just came to talk because we want to take Eddie to the regional office for another evaluation, more testing. That's all. Another pause. Then, she ran away, Mr. Sheffield. Did she? Yes, she's done it before. Kids, kids. No, I don't know kids, but I know guilt. I know shame. Is that what your other kid did? I say, and then go full bore, leaning my full weight on what I hope will snap. Your other daughter? She starts. Tears stand glassily in her eyes, but do not fall. Not just that they're tough out here, or that it would take more than that, but that they fear, perhaps, that their tears will be the champagne color of the aquifer forever tainted. How did you know about Wilhelmine? Did someone? And it all comes out. How Wills vanished last year, the beautiful girl, their golden darling, the great hope of the line. How the phone calls grew shorter and fewer and finally stopped. The police did nothing. How Eddie raged and screamed and wept and ran away again and again and was brought back again and again by truckers, loggers, flying spirits, local sheriffs, PhD students, patient environmental consultants getting paid by the hour. She's babbling now, an open valve. But telling me the kid ran away before doesn't mean she ran away last night, and I'm right. All right, so you say you won't tell. I took her. I used the old mine roads, not the silver mine, the copper mine from the 50s. It's still there. If you have 4-wheel drive, and yes, I took her. I did, and I left her. But it's not. She's wailing now as if I'm going to go back on my word and turn her in, but she can't even see what I see. All she knows is that the gods of the hills and the trees have gotten to her last child. What I know is that the child is owned, not just touched, but taken. That is not her child anymore. What I know is that she, the mother, is also beginning to glow where the skin is thin, ears, lips, the bones of her wrist. The color is precisely that of the daughter's glow, a blue and a yellow that somehow fail to make a green. I've never seen that before. I have no words for it or for how frightened I am. What I should do is reassure her, then go back to the car and call Fern. Instead, I go start the car, which doesn't have 4-wheel drive, and pull up maps on my phone. The sun still has not risen. Maybe it won't today. Maps has no idea what I'm talking about, no matter which terms I punch in. But a local birding chapter has posted color-coded trails. I park at a junction where drive carefully yellow becomes running shoes green, hoping that I find Eddie before I range into hope you brought crampons red. Would she be running uphill, up gradient, to where the water is still clean? Or down, to where the chemicals are pooling? All I know for sure is that she will be in the deep dark, wherever the Marianas Trench would be if these woods were an ocean. With my headlights on, I confirm the copper mine road. A trace of feedstock remains on the packed clay and gravel, seafoam green, faintly glittering. I start a flashlight on my phone and abandon the car over the sea of trees. Now I will have to navigate by my gifts, my evaluator training, by whatever woodcraft I've seen on TV. I can't call for her, or let's say I could, but I'm too afraid of what might respond. I don't know how much control she's still got over it, or whether she's ever had any. If the thing itself responds, I don't know if I could take it. I am brimful of fear, sloshing like a full glass, and for the first hour I cannot understand how it is that my feet are still moving, following invisible threads of magic where they become visible in the mind like fiber optic cables, picking and choosing between shades like the birding map. Red and pink are other spirits. Purple is another spirit. A royal blue is too blue. A golden yellow is too yellow. But here's something else, an uneasy gaudiness. That could be her, or it, or them. As dawn begins, the bird song around me is reassuring, making everything seem normal even as the woods get darker. I know the sun is coming up. I can see it at the treetops, but something is preventing it from hitting the ground. And I still need my phone to see. I can't hear the highway traffic anymore, not even big trucks going over the metal bridge that was so loud at the trailer park. Oh, what am I doing in here? If my phone dies, will I be able to find my way back? Will something take pity on me in here and guide me out? Or will their pity take another form? This land knows Eddie and her mother. It doesn't know me from a goddamn hole in the ground. Yet I keep walking. A low growl erupts from the trees just as I walk into something not familiar at first for its looks but its smell. And then despite the growling, I can't help but laugh. I grow up out here of all places. The plants are tall and healthy, each row neatly labeled with a neat round tag swaying in the dark. How are they growing without sunlight? Somebody is making good sacrifices. Footsteps hush in the bark and litter, and two heavy Rottweilers step into the trail, teeth bared, frowning affrontedly. They are grotesquely swollen, pink skin showing through their dark fur, fungus shaped like cities sprouting from the humps. Skyscrapers of yellow and orange, pitted with tiny windows and doors. I back away, lower the flashlight from the dull flash of their eyes. Easy there, I murmur. I'm not here for your crop. Easy. They growl, but hold off as I back away and keep backing into the trees, feeling my way behind me with one hand. My back itches as I keep walking, even though every time I turn, they're not following. I am getting close. There's another smell away from the pot field and the rotting dogs. Dirt, ozone, wet bone, the alarm chemicals of disturbed maggots. It's something sweetly artificial, grape or cherry. She's sitting on a stump, glowing under her crown of skulls, eating an Avengers branded yogurt tube. This does not strike me as particularly incongruous or unreasonable, seeing the violent hollows beneath eyes and cheekbones, the way her skin hangs on her skinny neck, the blue-white bones showing through the back of her hands. Since yesterday, she is down perhaps 10 or 15 pounds. Her lips around the garish plastic have the white crust of dehydration. What do you want? She says, folding the empty tube into her pocket. Same thing as yesterday, I tell her, putting my phone away. Evaluation. Come back with me. We'll go get lunch, and then we'll go to the regional center. They can, what, show me my true face? She laughs. I have none, Evaluator. She climbs adroitly off the stump. She is not barefoot as I had first thought, but in light canvas sneakers, too light for mid-October. They've had snow this early before. Bulges swim and meander under her leggings in a dance that no human should watch. The car is warm. I have water, coffee. Does your mama let you drink coffee? Sometimes, with a lot of milk and sugar. And we leave coffee out for them sometimes. That's good. That's good. You give your best. You give your best, she repeats, looking up at me. I wonder what color her eyes were before this happened. Brown, like her mother's? They're frosted over entirely now, a winter landscape seen from above, white flecked here and there with black. She's so short, so light. I could pick her up as easily as a cat. More easily, in fact, with no claws or teeth. But I would be picking up both her and it might be heavier than it looks. Certainly stronger. My hands remain firmly in my pockets. Eddie, I need to know who I'm talking to. You or the thing. The time for that distinction is over, she says, and that must be the god. It cannot be a 10-year-old. Not if we can separate you. Why would anyone want that? She laughs and climbs up onto the stump so that we're at the same height. I'm too close. I back up, sensing something behind me, another set of threads. It's a stag, glaze-eyed and staggering, dark blood oozing from its nose. Too many points to count. 14? 16? An award winner for damn sure. Need to tell Kabore if I live. He's made hunting buddies here. Not that you'd want to eat this one. It's blocking the trail back out. I'll have to go through it if I can't get around. A bright sunny morning, pitch black, illuminated by a glowing girl and a monster deer. Listen, I don't know what it's telling you about that side of things, I begin slowly. I am probably saying the wrong thing. We don't negotiate with gods. But you could come back to your mama. She's worried. She loves you. You're all she's got left now. And go back to school, your friends, McDonald's. Jesus, I don't know. You have to live for something. Mom drove me out here. She's a bad person. Who would do that to their kid? A bad person, I say carefully. But you're not her kid anymore, are you? And she pulled me out of school, she says, pirouetting on the stump, rubbered soles, shoes squeaking on the lichen. Her tone is lightly disdainful, a few millennia too old for the actual voice. She said I was too dumb to stay, and the principal didn't argue. No one else cared. I never had any friends there anyway. You aren't dumb. You weren't dumb. They just weren't trying hard enough. That's all, not you. Oh, they started off just pulling my hair and drawing on my clothes with a pen, she says dreamily. Then they stole my lunch every day, put rotten milk in my gym clothes, made me miss my bus. It's a 7-mile walk. They hated me, Evaluator. I was glad to leave. Nothing made me happier. Till now. Till this? School? I have the wisdom of millennia now. I have power, friends, sight, strength, magic, freedom. You don't have any of those things. The thing inside you does, and it's using you. Everybody uses somebody. I can't bear it. She's so proud, so excited. My mission is so unwelcome, if not actually invalid. And I have not been entirely honest about it, so perhaps she or they can be forgiven for believing so. But they're making it harder than it has to be. My stomach is rising, falling, filled with icy lead. No small forest god does this. He is capable of this. I am in over my head. And I am in so far that the sky has vanished. I don't know which way is up anymore, where my head is supposed to be. It'll use you up, clarify. So will life. Okay, perhaps, but weren't you expecting to live a bit past 10 years old? What for? She sits back down, something misty forming around her head, like fungal spores glowing golden. It drifts lazily and settles back on the bones, the damp brown hair. If I tell you a secret, do you promise not to tell anyone else? Of course. When the old gods here began to be poisoned by the water, the new ones moved in, she whispers. But no one knew. Isn't that funny? What? Oh, they kept taking the offerings. It was important to not let anyone know that the gods in the Hill of the Green were dying. But the new ones have been taking the little bit of belief still left and saving it up for something big. Big. Big over. Don't interrupt, she says sternly, lifting a bony finger to her lips. It's early days yet. Maybe in 100 years. In the meantime, the best way to gather information is with the locals. And the best way to use the locals is simply to use the locals. The old gods never did that. And you're the first. The first in this Ponzi scheme, this pyramid con. She nods virtuously. The childish glee in her face is unfeigned, backed though it is with glowing worms. Worms, I notice, that are speeding up, swimming faster. Eating more, I think, unable to help myself, getting fatter. The kids at school wouldn't bully her now, wouldn't even be able to look at her. All right, I tell her. If I tell you a secret, do you promise not to tell anyone else? Pinky swear. The reason we evaluate people is to see what's inside them, whether that's chemicals or spirits or gods or whatever. She pouts. That's not a secret. And if we find someone with gods or spirits, I continue blithely, we harvest the magic for our employer. Because there's no other way to get it until it can be filtered and channeled through a human mind. I could do that. For you, I doubt it. Would you let me try? This is the first opening she's given me, the first hint of anything other than a flat out no. Eddie, you wouldn't have to go back to school, but you could live with your mother again. I'll get people in to clean up the aquifer, plant trees in the dead area, but you're supposed to go up in an auction, not down, she observes, and this is certainly not the child speaking. And I know I'm not offering much, not compared to this, the myth and magic and all the power in the world. It seems I am the only one who could be caught on the lure of the ordinary and safe and warm. We are therefore at a standoff. I can help her, but she doesn't want the help. And the thing inside her is in perfect consensus. But I can't let her keep affecting the others in this valley. They have enough problems without being drafted into this imposter mafia. The company issued amulet in my pocket is heavy. I've never had to use it out here. To defeat this god would evaporate the sturdy brass like so much cotton candy. It took years to collect, probably. I never asked the cost. Refuse me one more time, I tell her. The child is mine, she hisses and leaps. I last trained for this 10 years ago, and the shield I throw up is weak. Her tendrils punch through it like a wet tissue and smack me into the ground, knocking my breath out. The next shield I get up is better, but I'm disoriented. The glowing light isn't helping. I'm trying not to hurt her. She's got no such considerations. The next 3 spells parry her, push the tentacles back, and try, then fail, to pin her. Trees creak warningly around me. Can anything I put up protect me from a perfectly unsupernatural, non-eldritch 2-ton trunk? We're thrashing around on the needles when something dark comes at me from the edge of my vision. I roll just in time to save my eyes. The stag's antlers dig into my shoulder. Sharp projectiles hit me from the shadowy branches, birds too small to do any damage. The amulet's weight is vanishing from my pocket. It'll be gone in a moment. Already my efforts to smother and pinion are drawing from something more vital. I feel sleepy, cold, something blinding pulls me into the leaf litter, and I look up dreamily to see the thing, the true thing, the god inside, darkly glowing and veined with amber, like a coal scraped from the hearth, past the tops of the grasping trees, past the clear blue sky, past the clouds, and Eddie's skinny, grubby body as straight as an arrow, her fist pointed at the sky. In my pocket, the amulet disappears. Laughter surrounds me, a swirl of golden motes. The pressure on my chest is abruptly gone, and I sit up, gasping. Eddie is leaping off into the woods like she's walking on the moon, chirping derisively. I can barely breathe for the ozone in the air. The stag is dead, deteriorating with visible speed into a heap of brown and green fungus already attracting flies. Tiny birds, sparrows or kinglets or chickadees pepper the ground. Live ammunition carelessly and cruelly spent. My phone is cracked. I find myself deeply unsurprised at this turn of luck. Do the gods, after all, not put their hand in where they can? It takes me most of the day to return to the car. There's a form for this. I'll have to get the mother to sign it, then go back to the office to get Fern to sign it, and the head office has to sign it off because there'll be an inquiry. But as the sun goes down, I find myself still sitting in the car, keys dangling from the ignition, staring at my hands, the movement, the glow. The end.
What a start to the year, Daniel. Those were both amazing stories. And chills. I got the chills. Oh, so good. Thank you both so much for reading. This has been a phenomenal night. And if we can look forward to a whole year of stories this good, then we're really going to have a wonderful year. Next week, we'll be back. Daniel and I will. And our readers will be Dana Vickerson and Anna Orridge. I do recommend checking storyhour2020.com on the day of the reading for any updates, any changes. And it's also a good place to learn about which author is going to be reading next. And you can watch any programs you may have missed on the Story Hour page on Facebook. You can also watch this one just as many times as you want. Premee, Eugenia, thank you both so much for reading us these stories and starting our year off right. And thank you to my co-host, Daniel Marcus, without whom literally none of us would be in this Zoom room. And thank you to all of you who are joining us, who are here now, all of you watching in the future, for making this story hour. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.